Translation method, or you can call go to market. So gamma translation method, okay, what it is? Okay, gamma translation method. So is it gamma translation method is the method of teaching foreign language to learners' mother tongue. They are taught to translate from native language to the target language, and learners learn grammar deductively. Deductively, the way before we had been talking, that means structure, sentence pattern, everything. You will be knowing every patterns of grammar, surface structure, deep structure, uses of structure, basic structure, structure of several sentences. Okay, so deductively, and memorize native language equivalently for the target language vocabulary. So vocabulary you have to learn. Okay, and this is the process of gamma translation method. And two key points are there in this method. We have said that is actually teacher can conduct class in their mother language, and also the students can communicate in the mother language. Okay, so it's not hard and fast rule that we should not use your mother language. Of course you will. Once upon a time we would play a jokes or a play. Okay, sometimes we would say that if anybody mispronounce a Bengali word, he or she will be giving 10 taka fine. That's but in case of gamma translation method, no, you can use your mother tongue. Teacher can use, and also the learner can use their mother tongue where necessary. Where necessary, if in every portion they can use the mother tongue in teaching second language or the foreign language. That is the gamma translation method. Gamma translation method, it has some principles are there, history are there, advantages are there. Okay, many things are there in this. So briefly in the first half we will try to look these principles. Okay, and if we see, go back the first, that is the history of gamma translation method. Gamma translation method was first known in America as a Prussian. Prussia is a state, German state, and the German scholar, they first initiated this method, and for this method, for this region, this is called German, Greek and Roman literature, and Greek and Rome civilization. That is the oldest method. In the German state Prussia, some scholars, they initiated a method of teaching foreign language and learning second language, that is gamma translation method. So gamma translation method has another name, that is called the Prussian method, and it was mentioned by a scholar, B. Sears, in his book, and he has written a book, the title The Ciceronian or the Prussian method of teaching the elements of the Latin language. We know already, that means initially we had a method. What is the method? That is the gamma translation method. Why this method was used? This method was used to study Latin language and Greek language, and of course they initiated that person, B. Sears initiated that methods. And for this reason, if we go back the history of gamma translation method, we will say that gamma translation method started its journey from Prussia, a German state, and that was mentioned by B. Sears in his book, and then you can write the name of the book. That is the history. And why that method was approached? This method was used to teach Latin language, and for this reason some leading GTM exponent like Johannes Seidenstacker, Karl Bloch, H.S. Ollendorff, and Johann Meidingard claim that the GTM is the brainchild of German scholarship. Okay, that means they first initiated that. That was also a part of history. That means this person, these scholars, they said that gamma translation method is the brainchild of German scholars. And though GTM is the early language learning method, one critic criticizes GTM as GTM is to know everything about something or some language rather than the thing itself. grammar translation method is applied to teach and learn foreign language. Yeah, this person, he is very much critical. He said that actually grammar translation method is good, very good, very good. Of course, very good. It's a good method. It's a good method, but it can't teach language in the proper way. Okay, that is his criticism. That is the severe criticism against grammar translation method, but that was posed by a scholar. Okay, and there are some goals, principles. Okay, every method there will be some goals, principle, designs. Okay, the goal of foreign language study is to learn a language in order to read its literature. Initially, in 14, 13, 16, 18, 19 even century, why we are in a position to learn foreign language? One goal was there, to study Latin literature, because at that time they had great literature. Okay, and if we want to read Latin literature, you have to know language, and in which way you will be learning the language? Through grammar translation method. The goal of grammar translation method initially, that was, and still, that to study Latin literature. That was the goal. And grammar translation is a way of studying a language and approach that the language first through detailed analysis of grammar rules that we initiated initially in this class. The detailed analysis of grammatical rules, followed by application of the key knowledge of the task of translating sentences and its text into and out. That means translation from target language to mother language and mother language to number one, goal. Goal, that means to study Latin literature. We need a language. And what is the method? That is the grammar translation method. And what is the principle? In which way you will be ঘরের চাবি যদি একটাই থাকে, তাহলে ঘরে ঢোকার দরজাও যদি একটা থাকে, তাহলে কি একটাই তো। At that time, up to 18th, 19th century, the only keys were there to learn English language or the foreign language, that is grammar translation method. And what are the way? The way, explicit uses of grammar, structure and vocabulary. And second one, that is the translation from target language to mother language, and the mother. And for this reason, in HSC level, most probably many years back, 20 years back, there we would have passage translation, we would have sentence translation. Why? That approach was initiated from that method, that is grammar translation method, because we did not have any alternative at that time, because we did not know even the name of other methods and approaches in English language teaching. আমরা জানতামই না, direct method, audilingual method এর নামই জানতাম না। Okay, so that is the way, explicit usage of grammatical rules and translating from target language into and out, from target language to mother language and mother language to target language. It hence views language learning as consisting of little more than memorizing rules. Okay, আপনারা বলবেন অসুবিধা কি মুখস্থ করলে? Yes, memorizing without understanding, that is called cramming. C-R-A-M-M-I-N-G. Cramming, that means memorizing without understanding. Okay, that is the cognition. There is no cognition level. Okay, you might get one example once upon a time when we would write paragraph and essays in case of final examinations. SSC, HSC, even degree classes, আগে এসে প্যারাগ্রাফ লিখতে হতো না? এমন একজন বের করলেন একটা মেথড যে একটা প্যারাগ্রাফ পড়লে আপনি 30টা প্যারাগ্রাফ লিখতে পারবেন। কিভাবে? উনি কয়েকটা জায়গায় স্ট্রাকচার বসাই দিয়েছেন, ওখানে শুধু যদি ওটা বসিয়ে দেওয়া যায়। হ্যাঁ, গ্রামার ট্রান্সলেশন মেথড ওয়াজ লাইক দ্যাট ইউ উইল বি মেমোরাইজিং, অ্যান্ড এই 30টা আপনি লিখতে পারবেন ওই স্ট্রাকচারটা ফলো করে। এর বাইরে যদি 31 নম্বরটা কোনো কারণে পরীক্ষায় এসে যায়, so that is the negative side of grammar translation. There is no way of, there is no problem with memorizing, but memorizing without understanding is called cramming. And if you memorize, okay, of course memory is a good power, if you can memorize something, but without understanding, memorization will kill your creativity. Okay, so that is one point of grammar translation method. So the first language is maintained as the reference system in the acquisition of the second language. Okay, so this is the goal. Okay, The second goal, reading and writing are the major focus. We have learned history, we have learned goal, and then we are learning principles of grammar translation method. Reading and writing are the major focus, and little or no systematic attention is paid to speaking or listening. We know that every language, how many languages are there? 7,000 languages are there. Every language there are 4 components. Okay, 4 module. In case of IELTS, there is a module, speaking, reading, writing, and listening. This old classic method, grammar translation method, will be focusing on reading and writing. That means 2 important skills. That is the oral method. That means listening and speaking. We would know the description of grammar. Grammar বইয়ে আমরা দেখতাম definition যে পুস্তক পাঠ করলে ভাষা শুদ্ধভাবে লিখিতে পড়িতে বলিতে পারা যায় তাকে গ্রামার বলে। কিন্তু সেখানে ওই যে কি ছিল, ওই লিসেনিংটা ছিলই না, মানে লিসেনিং কি স্কিল সেটা গ্রামার ট্রান্সলেশন আমরা জানতাম না। So that is what the grammar translation method, grammar translation method is used. That means writing and reading got emphasized much, but in case of other 2 skill, language skill, listening and speaking is omitted, or little or less focus, little or less focus. Kichai? Yes, correct. Every day you come late, and every day, yes. Be regular, sir, from the next class. Vocabulary selection is based solely on the reading text used. Vocabulary learning. I have said several times, actually, vocabulary. Of course, every language will be consisted of vocabulary. বাংলা ভাষায় যেমন কয়েক হাজার শব্দ আছে, অন্যান্য ভাষাতেও শব্দ আছে। সো আপনাকে ভাষা শিখতে হলে vocabulary শিখতে হবে। Okay? And grammar translation method also follows that you have to learn the vocabulary of the target language, especially the English. You have to learn the vocabulary. And vocabulary selection is based solely on the reading text. That is the context. Okay. Vocabulary selection then means reading comprehension. You have to read an article. Reading for today, so, in case of grammar translation method, they use the vocabulary. Which vocabulary? That means which, the meaning of the which words you are supposed to read a text in maybe the fox, jackal, and শিয়াল এবং ক্রোকোডাইলের গল্প না, আরেকটা যেটা শিয়াল ছায়া দেখে ওই গল্পটার নাম, সরি, একটা কুকুর হচ্ছে মুখে হাত ছিল, নদীর উপর দিয়ে যাচ্ছিল, সেখানে এবং সে জাম্প করে হচ্ছে ওই হাতটাকে ধরা। So there is a story. What might be the name of that story? Vocabulary is used in this grammar translation method. Then you will be learning the word meaning of those words that are used in that story. Okay? So you know the word meaning of jackal, you know the word meaning of mirror, you know the word meaning of jumping. Okay? In the text that you have got. But what is the application in your practical life? That means vocabulary is based solely on the reading text used. And words are taught through bilingual words list. Bilingual words list. There are 2 kinds of dictionary available at this time market. That is Bangla Academy Dictionary, that is Bengali to English to Bengali, and Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, that is English to English. GTM follows 80 or Bangla Academy Dictionary. Problem is that whenever you will be learning the meaning of the target language or word in the target language, your vocabulary will be increased. And you can, আপনি যদি ইংরেজি ওয়ার্ডের অর্থ ইংরেজিতে শেখেন, জানেন, তাহলে কি হবে, আপনি আরো কিছু ওয়ার্ড শিখবেন এবং পাশাপাশি আপনি ওই অর্থটা ওই ওয়ার্ডটা অ্যাপ্লাই করতে পারবেন আপনার অন্য জায়গায়, যেটা বললাম যে ক্রিয়েটিভিটি। ওকে, ইন GTM they will follow the first one, যেমন বাংলা একাডেমি ডিকশনারি, যদিও তাদের প্রোনাউন্সিয়েশনটা অক্সফোর্ড ফলো করেই লিখছে, বাংলাতে লিখলেও বাংলা একাডেমির যে ডিকশনারি উচ্চারণটা বাংলায় যেটা লেখা থাকে এটা কিন্তু কোয়াইট আপ টু দ্য মার্ক। হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে। কিন্তু এখানে GTM এর সমস্যা তাহলে কি হলো, GTM হচ্ছে শেখায় হলো ইংরেজি থেকে তার বাংলা অথবা হিন্দি ভাষাভাষী থেকে ইংরেজি থেকে হিন্দি, এবং গুগল এটাই করেছে। হ্যাঁ, গুগল ট্রান্সলেট যেটা করে আপনি সিলেক্ট করে দেবেন ইংলিশ টু। সো and for this reason your vocabulary will not be increased, and this is the process of learning vocabulary in grammar translation method. Okay, and bilingual words list, dictionary study, and memorization. Okay, vocabulary learning is good, but GTM, the way GTM teaches the vocabulary to the learners, that is using dictionary, word list, and memorization. That method for this reason is questioned next time. In the typical grammar translation text, the grammar rules are presented and illustrated. A list of vocabulary items is presented with their translation equivalent, and translation exercise are prescribed. These are the things. And fourth one is the sentence is the basic unit of teaching language practice. That's the problem. Problem is there. Okay, we started with sentence structure. We started with sentence structure, isn't it? What will be the structure of a sentence? So structure will not only be available in sentence, structure will also be available for paragraph, isn't it? Structure will also be available for essays. Structure will also be available for research article and thesis. Okay, grammar translation method will be focusing basically on the sentence structure. That means GTM doesn't go further beyond sentence structure. Okay, paragraph will have a structure. What is the concluding sentence? What would be the topic sentence? What is the body? What would be there in that body part? Okay, they give emphasis. Who? That means grammar translation method gives emphasis on sentence structure wholly or solely. And the other part, much of the lesson is devoted to translating sentences. Okay, and into and out of the target language, so that is their focus. Accuracy, number 5, accuracy is emphasized. We had a very tough school life. Okay, when we had been studying in school. Okay, if any student mispronounces a word, if a student misspells the word, he or she would be punished severely by the teacher, who would come up with a stick, and that is very sharp, and to keep the strength of the stick, sometimes well is used on the stick. Betraghat. Why? Because that is the system. That is, you have to be accurate. You can't make a single word spelling mistake. Even that goes up to at still this moment. Yeah. অনেকে বলে যে বাংলাতে ক্লাস নিয়ে যদি আমি বোঝাতে পারি, সবাই যদি বোঝে ভালো, সমস্যা কি, তাহলে আমাকে ইংরেজিতে নিতে হবে কেন? Okay, that is another point. But when GTM started its journey, and that up to the first half of 20th century as well, that GTM dominated, and you have to be accurate in pronunciation, spelling, structure. So accuracy is emphasized in grammar translation methods. Students are expected to attain high standard in translation because of the high priority attached to meticulous standard of accuracy, which, as well as having an intrinsic moral value, was a prerequisite of passing the increasing number of formal written examinations, and grew up during the century. So how many things are there? Intrinsic moral value as well as having accuracy will be there. Accuracy, that means if you are accurate in using, in written or pronouncing the words, then you will be intrinsic. As a scholar, your English standard is good, and also that kind of skill will be used of several written examinations, prerequisite of increasing number of written examinations. Okay, in SSC, in school life, প্রথম সমাপনী পরীক্ষা, তারপরে আরেকটা কি পরীক্ষা, জেএসসি, আবার স্কুলে ক্লাস 7-6 এর কথাই ধরি, সেখানে 3 মাস পরে একটা পরীক্ষা হয়, আবার 6 মাস পরে একটা করে ষান্মাসিক পরীক্ষা বলে। এইরকম বিভিন্ন ধরনের পরীক্ষা আছে। সেই ইনক্রিজিং নাম্বার অফ এক্সামিনেশন, সেটা হলো একটা ইয়ারেও অথবা ইয়ার এন্ডেও। এই পরীক্ষাগুলো সবগুলো হয় কিভাবে? লিখিত, এবং এই লিখিত পরীক্ষায় ভালো করার জন্যই এই গ্রামার ট্রান্সলেশন মেথড অ্যাপ্লাই করা হতো, অ্যান্ড দ্যাট উড বি ইউজড অ্যাজ দ্য প্রিরিকুইজিট অফ পাসিং দ্য রিটিং এক্সামিনেশন। দ্যাট ইজ দ্য system of grammar translation method. Grammar is taught deductively, we have talked earlier. Okay, that means grammar will be the main concern. Okay, you can't make mistake. That is by presenting in the study of the grammar rules, which are then practiced through translation exercises in grammar translation method. A syllabus was followed for sequencing of grammar points throughout a text, and there was an attempt to teach grammar in an organized and systematic way. So the student's native language is the medium of instruction, number 7, and it is to explain new items and to enable comparison to be made between the foreign language and the student's native language. So translation will be there. Okay, so that is the 7 principles we have got. Within the 7 we have got other more examples. Okay, and for this reason GTM dominated foreign language learning and teaching method in Europe from 1840s to the 1940s, and at present, in the 21st century, GTM is used in a modified form in some parts of the world. Many classes, I would say, many teachers are, even in this class, many teachers are there among you. If you say that what method you follow, because you know method, many of you say yes, I follow grammar translation method with the fusion. Fusion, you know, fusion, that means wording হলো, কথা হলো আগের গানের, তার সাথে মিউজিক এবং অন্যগুলো লাগানো হয়েছে মডার্ন মিউজিকের, এটাকে বলা হচ্ছে ফিউশন মিউজিক। অনেকে বলে যে এটা হলো দ্যাট ইজ বি দ্য ক্যারিকেচার, আপনার কথা, কথার সৌন্দর্যের সাথে মিউজিকের সৌন্দর্য যখন মিলে যায়, অনেকে বলে যে এটা গানের সৌন্দর্য হানি হয়েছে, আপনি কথা দিতে পাচ্ছেন না, এই জন্য আপনি অন্যের কথা ব্যবহার করে। আবার যদি অন্যভাবে দেখি, তাহলে কি এটা হলো আগের কথা ভালো ছিল, হয়তো মিউজিকটা ভালো ছিল না, সেখানে যখন মিউজিকটা অ্যাড করা হচ্ছে তখন কি হচ্ছে, সেটা সৌন্দর্য কলেবর আরও বৃদ্ধি হচ্ছে। এই জন্য ওটাকে বলা হচ্ছে পোস্ট মডার্ন মিউজিক। পোস্ট মডার্ন মিউজিক, দ্যাট উড নট স্টপ এনিহোয়ার, দ্যাট উড নট বি rigidity there will not be there. So in case of grammar translation method, still that is followed in many parts of this world, that can be called fusion. That means they apply their grammar translation method simultaneously, they will be applying the listening and speaking portion of borrowed from other methods and approach. Okay, so it is said that even in the 21st century, in many parts, grammar translation method is used in a modified portion, in a modified way. And in 1984, Howard points out that GTM was introduced by those who wanted to teach the classical language, German, French and Latin, and only with the rigorous grammar rules. Okay, but thousands of the school learners showed distaste to this GTM. Actually, why? I indirectly put some point. Okay, and language learning mean to school learners that it is nothing but to tedious experience of memorizing endless list of unusable grammar. Endless, how many negative words? Endless list of unusable grammar and words. Okay, that is goes, if you use that, if you know the grammar, you are able to use it in your practical life, but in many cases they are unusable. And how? Okay, one of my senior brother, he started memorizing the whole Oxford dictionary. We would say that living dictionary. কেন একটা কথা বললে উনি অর্থ বলে দিতে পারতেন সেন্টেন্সের, okay? But that is very tedious, ক্লান্তিকর, isn't it? Okay, why you are learning English? Just to meet up your daily needs. If you are an engineer, you have to cope up your, you have to gain the ability so that you can get the research article, you can understand the research article, you can write the research article. That is good. Okay, but if it is so that if you are in a position that you have to sit for the GRE examination, then you will know how many words of the meaning you have to remember. Okay, so that is tedious, and how many meaning of how many words you have to learn, there is no end, and also in maximum cases they are unusable. That is grammar translation methods. And for this reason, GTM got frustrated. The GTM creates frustration for the learners. And it is welcomed and liked by the teachers in some parts of the world, and it is assumed that understanding literature or the literary text is the primary focus of foreign language learning and teaching. Okay, that is the thing in case of the GTM. Okay, so this text we can also talk about some other principles of GTM. That GTM, these texts are frequently the product of people and the literature rather than the language teaching and the applied linguistics. Okay. GTM is not linked to, there are some criticism also here. Why? So when we will be going to study Latin literature, আমরা যখন Latin literature পড়তে যাব, আমরা ভাষা শিখেছি, ভাষায় থাকায় কি করছি, আমরা Latin literature পড়ছি, classic literature পড়ছি, but that is related to Latin literature and the people. It is not any way related to English language teaching or learning. Okay, that is one thing. GTM is not linked to the learning or teaching theories. In the previous class we talked about theory, that means method will be related to a language theory. Yeah, that is the approach. But in case of GTM, we didn't have any direct link to a language theory. Okay? We didn't have. GTM doesn't have any link to language theory. That is another criticism against GTM. GTM is not linked. There is no justification of rationale of GTM. Okay, GTM cannot connect language learning and teaching to linguistic psychology and educational theory. And in the mid-19th century, opposite views on GTM were developed in the several developed countries, and they developed in these grammar translation methods. Okay, so in this circle, you will get the all things regarding GTM. On top, classes are taught in mother language. So, all are relaxed. সবাই খুশি, টিচারও খুশি, ছাত্ররাও খুশি। কিন্তু খুশি তো 6 মাস আপনি GTM এ ক্লাস করলেন, কিন্তু আপনি ভাষা শিখতে চান সেভাবে হয়তো শিখলেন। Okay, so in case of GTM, classes are taught in mother language. Sentences are the basic unit of language teaching. Antonyms and synonyms will be there in part of vocabulary. The student's passive receiver, that is another. Okay. Interaction. 2 days ago, I had been talking to one of my uncles. He said that I went to India for 3 months, and within the 3 months, I learned Hindi language. আমি বললাম আপনি কি পড়তে পারেন? না, পড়তে পারি না, কিন্তু শিখে গেছি, সবই বুঝতে পারি, বলতে পারি। And this is the way. And in case of GTM, major problem is that students are the passive listener. Still what you do, that means we deliver lecture and interaction is less or no more. Interaction with what? That means interaction might be 2 folds or many folds. Interaction from among students and also student teacher. Okay. In case of GTM, no form of interaction will be there. And actually, if you read the history of the previous English language teaching scenario, the English teacher, they might be double aiming, they know many things, but teacher in a position that they will not ask any question to the teacher. And if any student যদি একটু সাহস করে দাঁড়ায়, সাথে সাথে কি বসিয়ে দেওয়া হলো অথবা এমন ধমক দেওয়া হলো যে ও আর জীবনে কখনো কি করবে না, প্রশ্ন করবে না। ওকে, সো স্টুডেন্টস উইল বি দ্য প্যাসিভ রিসিভার and there will be no interaction. Okay, so question will not be encouraged in case of GTM. And study grammar of the target language. We have said this. Deductive application of grammatical rules, that means explicit uses of the grammatical rules. Translation from L1 to L2 and L2 to L1. L2 মানে কি, foreign language, আর L1 মানে memorizing verb forms, grammar rules and vocabulary. Classes are teacher centered, that means teachers are the authority of the class. Okay, what he will show, what he will direct, so that is the orchestra. We বললাম না, director of the orchestra. Okay, so this way, this. Okay, so there is no problem, teacher কে আমরা follow করি, but in case of language learning, interaction is important. The interaction among students and also interaction of teacher to students. So question will be there and question will come and question will be answered. Question will be answered from the teacher and also your question can be answered by your fellow students. আপনার পাশে যিনি বসে আছেন উনিও আপনার প্রশ্নের উত্তর দিতে পারেন। তাতে যেটা হলো কি, স্টুডেন্টদের সাথে স্টুডেন্টের ইন্টারাকশন হয়ে গেল। ওকে, সো দ্যাট ইজ দ্য থিংস ইন কেস অফ GTM. ওকে, সো there are some teachers role in GTM, of course. Teachers is the authority in the class. Sources of knowledge, এর আগে আমরা কি শিখছিলাম একটা জায়গায়, কোথায় যেন বললাম যে actually the teacher will be the will learn from teacher, will learn from internet, will learn from other sources, will learn from his fellow students. Materials, design material, in case of previous class. So here in that case the teachers will be the source of knowledge, and teacher explains, translates, conducts, practices and correct mistakes. A teacher will be doing that is, you can also put the strategy that is a self correction, isn't it? অনেক সময় করা হয় কি যে সবাই একটা পরীক্ষা দিল, পরীক্ষা দেওয়ার পরে একটা খাতা, একজনের খাতা ওনাকে আর একজনের খাতা, একজন আরেকজনের চেক করলেন। সেখানে যেটা হয় কি যে আপনার বন্ধু যেভাবে আপনার মিস্টেকসটা খুব মানে ভালোবেসে শুদ্ধ করে দিবে, টিচার হয়তো সেটা করবে না। হ্যাঁ, এই জন্য এই GTM এটা হয় না, GTM এ টিচারই সব কিছু করে। ওকে, এক্সপ্লেন, ট্রান্সলেটস and also, and in the passive, students is the passive learner and does as the teacher says. টিচার যেভাবে বলবে সেভাবেই উনি স্টুডেন্টরা করবে। interact with the teachers, not with other students. টিচারের সাথে কিছু কিছু জায়গায় ইন্টারাক্ট করছে কিন্তু স্টুডেন্টের সাথে ইন্টারাকশন হয় না। কোথায়? GTM এ। দ্যাট ইজ দ্য স্টুডেন্টস রোল। ট্রান্সলেট, study words, rules and memorize. That is the student's role. There are some advantage. Of course, what is the advantage? We love GTM. Why do we love GTM? That means easiest for teachers to use. কিছুই বলা নাই না, বাংলায় কথা বলতে হবে। প্রিপারেশন এই যে পড়ে আসছি, অনেকদিন একটু হ্যান্ড নোট করা আছে, ওটার উপরে 1 ঘন্টা লেকচার দিয়ে দিতে পারলাম। এই no use, no teacher, easiest for the teacher and doesn't require teachers to speak good English. টিচারকে দেখে তো অনেকে ফলো করে, that means yes, teachers pronunciations, teacher will in some way actor. Okay, that means teacher will be followed by the students. Okay, so সেই টিচারই যদি এরকম অবস্থা হয় যে ইন কেস অফ GTM, কারণ বাংলায় কথা বলা লাগতেছে, ইংরেজি প্রনাউন্সিয়েশন ভালো করার দরকার নেই। হ্যাঁ, দুই একটা কথা বললো, ইংরেজিতে টেক্সটটা পড়িয়ে দিল। ওকে, সো ডাজন্ট রিকোয়ার টিচার্স টু স্পিক গুড ইংলিশ, মেক গুড লেসন প্রিপারেশনের দরকার নেই। অনলি ইউজেস দ্য টেক্সট বুক, টিচার উইল বি ইউজিং দ্য টেক্সট বুক অনলি। That are the advantages and also the disadvantages as well. Least stressful for the student teaching occurs in the first language. Okay, less stressful. Okay, বলা হবে না যে আপনি 1 মিনিট 2 মিনিট কথাই বলেন, হ্যাঁ ইংরেজিতে কথা বলেন টার্গেট ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ, এটা GTM এ নাই, হয়তো এখন অনেকে অ্যাপ্লাই করছে। ওকে, অ্যান্ড ফর দিস রিজন ইট ইজ স্ট্রেস ফ্রি, কোনো চাপ নাই। স্যার তো প্রশ্ন করে না, স্যারের ক্লাসে গেলে সমস্যা নেই। আর কোনো স্যার যদি প্রশ্ন করে তাহলে কি ও স্যার প্রশ্ন করে একটু পড়ে যেতে হবে, হ্যাঁ। So it is stress free for students and also for the teachers. Students learn new languages without contact with the native speakers. Native speakers মানে যার মাতৃভাষা, আপনি ইংরেজি ভাষা শিখছেন, আগে ওয়ান্স আপন এ টাইম বিভিন্ন ইউনিভার্সিটিগুলো থেকে বাইরের শিক্ষক নিয়ে আসা হতো বিদেশে, যাদের মাতৃভাষা হলো ইংলিশ, হ্যাঁ। এই তাদের আমি যেভাবে ইংরেজি কথা বলি, যত ভালোই বলি না কেন, ইংলিশ যাদের মাতৃভাষা ইংরেজি তাদের মতো তো ভালো আমরা বলতে পারবো না, পারবো, হ্যাঁ। এই জন্য গ্রামার ট্রান্সলেশন মেথডে ফরেন নেটিভ স্পিকার্স টিচারদের সাথে যোগাযোগ না করেও কি ইংরেজি শেখা যায়। ডিসঅ্যাডভান্টেজেস: স্টুডেন্টস ল্যাক কম্প্রিহেনশন অনলি অ্যান্ড ট্রান্সলেটিং ওয়ার্ড ফর ওয়ার্ড, comprehension, understanding and creativity will lose, doesn't allow students to create meaning in English. As I have said, that if you want to know the what meaning from English to English, then you can create meaning. That is called meaning making. You can also, one of my teacher would say, when I got my SSC result published, that teacher come to my village house to say thank you to me. Why? Because যে যত স্টুডেন্ট পড়িয়েছি তুমি ভালো রেজাল্ট করেছো, এই জন্য আমি চলে আসছি তোমার বাসায়, হ্যাঁ। That teacher would say that yes, if you want to know English, you have to talk, you have to listen, you have to communicate, you have to chat in English. Even he said that you have to dream in English. How come? Yeah, how come? That is, yeah. তবে কিছু কিছু জায়গায় দেখা যায় যে যখন মানুষ রেগে যায় তখন আবার ইংরেজিতে কথা বলা শুরু করে। তো this is the thing, does not allow a student to create meaning making. So whenever you will get the meaning of the target word in English, then you can create your own sentence and you can create meaning using the target language. The students do not learn to read. Expensive memorization, very little student-teacher and student-student interaction. That are the advantages of GTM and disadvantages. So there are some benefits and also challenges. Do not improve my oral proficiency. Another challenges. In case of GTM, though there is no interaction, for this there is an oral proficiency or oral communication will. The texts were often boring and not connected to my own interest. Okay, that means what are included in your syllabus, you can't go outside of the syllabus, that is the text. And sometimes the syllabus becomes boring, but you have no alternative. You can teacher and a student can't study the text outside of the syllabus. Okay, and sometimes if it becomes boring, সবার কাছে তো এই টেক্সটটা ভালো নাও লাগতে পারে, কারোর কাছে বোরিং লাগবে, কারোর কাছে বোরিং হলেও সেটাই পড়তে হয়। I cannot really remember anything that I spend time memorizing. Okay, so he memorized. Okay, so these are the in 16th century Latin no longer the dominant international language of communication. A subject in the school curriculum, study of the classical Latin. Okay, so these are the things of grammar translation method. Yes, sir.
Sir, the advantages and disadvantages of grammar translation method.
Yes.
I think